Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of The Golden Bolt, part 2 of my discussion on PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. If you missed part 1, make sure you check it out either in the upper right hand corner of your screen or in the description below, as a lot of the info in that video is critical to understanding this video here. Without further ado, let's continue. At this point in the game's lifespan, a few months out from launch, the fanbase was toxic. New Dante especially was a poison pill that seeped its way into even the most excited of fans. The core fanbase split among multiple forums as the official PlayStation forums continued to bicker more and more, scaring people off into their own sub-communities. This is where I would like to take you on a brief tangent to discuss my place in this, to give you the other side of the coin, the side that was still excited about and looking forward to the game. By this point, All-Stars had become more than just another game to me. Initially, I wasn't fond of the idea. I didn't like real Smash Bros. Why would I care about a PlayStation variant? Only in the previous year had I scrounged together enough money to buy my buddy's PS3. I had yet to experience all of the new franchises that people wanted in. I didn't have much investment in the game at all. Then, while browsing YouTube one day, I saw it. Michael. That ad from 6 months prior that I had come back to every so often, Michael was the creative force behind PlayStation All-Stars. A celebration, a game for the gamers by the gamers, a thank you to the almost 2 decades of PlayStation fans that had made this possible. And just like that, it clicked. I became invested. Later, I would find out that this connection I had made was more than just a mental one, as ads for Battle Royale would reintroduce that doorkeeper from Michael. This entire time, Michael had been leading up to this game. If Michael could elicit that kind of response from me, the game it was stealth marketing certainly could do the same. I became a part of the community surrounding All-Stars. I took part in discussions on those forums. I thought about my dream roster. At points, I even started thinking of combos just by watching gameplay before the beta had even reached my hands. As somebody who had for the majority of my life been predominantly a PlayStation player, this game did become my Smash Bros. I'm also conveniently one of the few people that doesn't care about Devil May Cry, new or old, so New Dante didn't personally sting. In an attempt mainly to keep myself excited for the game, but also to give the core community a sort of rallying point, I began making these comprehensive daily and weekly forum threads leading up to the game's launch, discussing reveals, character highlights, theorizing on mechanics, and so on. On a larger scale, this clearly didn't work, but within the core community, at times, it certainly did. There was of course still a ton of arguing, name-calling, and your usual internet stuff, but at times that twinkle of hope, that twinkle of hype, returned to the fanbase. As Battle Royale neared its launch, I sent an open letter to the team at SuperBot, merely thanking them for continuing to work and put their hearts into this game despite the overwhelming negativity that was surrounding it at the time. Now, to my surprise, I received a response from SuperBot's president, Chan Park, having allegedly read this letter aloud during the team's morning meeting. At the end of his response, Chan insisted that he send me some merch, despite me insisting I didn't want merch out of the letter, I just wanted to thank him, but as you can see from this shirt, he obviously won out. But it wasn't just some shirts that I received, as shortly after launch I won a contest online that awarded me this set of 6 pewter coins commemorating the first 6 characters in PlayStation All-Stars. Now, as far as I know, there are only 3 sets of these that exist, and they were given out primarily through this contest that I'm talking about. I put 1 in quotes because that box came in the same package as these shirts, so it just seems to me like they rigged it, but I'm not 100% sure if that's the case or not. Either way, this isn't to overstate my impact on the game or the community surrounding the game, this is merely to give you some more perspective of my opinion of the game at that time. On November 20th, 2012, All-Stars released simultaneously on the PS3 and the PlayStation Vita. Critical consensus was mostly mixed to positive, with reviewers praising the fun combat, albeit often noting that it certainly took some getting used to. They loved the game's authenticity. Playing as Nathan Drake felt like you were playing a 2D Uncharted game, for example. A painstaking amount of work had gone into making each character feel exactly as they should, for better or worse. All-Stars even won the title of Fighting Game of the Year at the 2013 DICE Awards, overcoming such titles as Persona 4 Arena, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and Soul Calibur 5. The big hanging points were with the game's presentation. From the long loading screens, a very basic set of menus and themes, and visuals that were good but not great, to the often choppy netcode, numerous audio-visual bugs, and even according to some, a lackluster story, the game was not immune to criticism. The hope among many in the press seemed to be that with post-game support, All-Stars could grow into a very respectable first game in a long-running series, just as its inspiration had. Looking at the game today, yeah, these are all major issues. SuperBot was a very young team, with many on the team drawing from experience with fighting games rather than with game design itself. The core gameplay was fun, but people wanted more than just an arcade ladder and some online functionality. Also of note was the character balance. For all the praise the game received as a casual party game, Battle Royale Super System quickly caused problems on the competitive scene. Supers didn't follow a set pattern. Many of them followed similar themes, such as a level 1 being a short charge forward or a level 3 being a screen clear, but these weren't distributed evenly among characters. As a result, characters such as Raiden and Kratos quickly rose to the top of the tier list due to having 3 fully viable supers, while others like Sir Dan fell to the bottom. Even worse, some characters had kill confirms, attacks that could combo into a super, and even these were hoarded by the highest tier characters. At one point, Raiden had a dozen ways to combo into his level 1 or 2 supers, while Jack sat there with nothing. And then there's Kratos. Designed to be the Mario of this game, an easy to pick up character with a low ceiling, Kratos had, and at times still does have, insane priority, fantastic range, and fast super build-up, and I'm talking purely about his square attacks. Kratos was the most common character you would see online at launch because, well, he was so easy to play. The major issues with his balance turned thousands of players off of the game as square to win became the norm in both the casual and ranked online. With no real incentive to learn the game's mechanics via its online, a short single player offering for each character, and a helpful but limited training mode, All-Stars quickly re-earned the public reputation that it had 7 months prior, a bad Smash clone. There are comments that litter the internet discussing how players only tried the game for an hour and hated it, how nothing felt right because it wasn't Smash, and Battle Royale was painted as a failure, despite a decent critical response and sales that were at or above Sony's expectations. Sony, SuperBot, and Sony Santa Monica, which had helped incubate the game's development, carried on, promising multiple waves of DLC characters and stages. First came Gravity Rush's Cat and Starhawk's Emmett Graves, 2 characters that had debuted after All-Stars was well into development. On top of this was a Heavenly Sword stage that crossed over with a racetrack from Wipeout. This DLC would be provided for free for its first 2 weeks on the market, and along with the post-launch patches that SuperBot would continue to deliver, helped flesh the gameplay's quirks out, balancing moves, closing up some kill confirms, and so on. Some of the SuperBot employees even remained incredibly active on the game's official forums, reading about issues, responding, discussing, holding giveaways, and on a personal note, even donating money to help one of the forum's users afford a Vita to play the game. A week before Cat and Emmett's February release, though, Sony had announced that it had cut ties with SuperBot and that Santa Monica Studio would take the reins on all future development for the game. According to one former SuperBot employee, Sony was expecting the game to perform very well in Europe, and it simply didn't, leading Sony to end the experiment prematurely. To quote another former employee, "I don't really know the details, but all of us in the trenches felt betrayed. We were promised all sorts of support, getting characters and marketing, etc., and it never materialized. Then it felt like they just dumped us. It was really sad." SuperBot was blindsided by the announcement, with employees reportedly crying at their desks as the inevitable layoffs would come. All-Stars would be the only game that SuperBot would release before it shut its doors for the final time. Cat and Emmett were not the final 2 characters that Battle Royale received, however. In March, 2 more characters were released, both as advertisements for new games. Zeus as a plug for God of War Ascension, and Isaac to promote Dead Space 3. This DLC pack was even offered as a free voucher to those that bought Ascension. However, the small but steady community that had stuck with the game did not take kindly to these 2 advertisement characters, and there was a marked shift in tone regarding All-Stars after SuperBot had left. Updates both for the game itself and for its audience slowed down, effectively stopping entirely within a few months. Sadly, Santa Monica Studio had experience with this, having taken over post-launch development for 2012's Twisted Metal, a game that was not given a patch to fix the nearly unplayable online until 6 months after release. Any remaining fans dwindled, realizing that the game's life was simply coming to a close as a still unbalanced, forgotten game, until a spark went off that rallied the All-Stars player base: Dart. The Legend of Dragoon is a PS1 game that has a cult following among JRPG players. Beloved for its story and most notably its characters, the game has never received a sequel. However, information about a cancelled sequel was revealed in April of 2012, shortly before Battle Royale's announcement. In the summer of 2013, players discovered that Legend of Dragoon's main character, Dart, was scheduled to be a playable character in All-Stars, along with Oddworld's Abe. Rumors began swirling that these two characters were envisioned as DLC to follow Cat and Emmett, but that they were quickly cut down by Sony in order to make room for Zeus and Isaac. The built-up tension between the fanbase and Santa Monica exploded. Players took to social media demanding that these two characters, two of the most requested after the game's launch, be finalized and released. One user helping lead the charge, named the Golden Bull, brought a petition to change.org. Others still rallied around the hashtag #ReleaseDart, tweeting Santa Monica, Sony Computer Entertainment Worldwide's president Shuei Yoshida, and others. After dealing with the Release Dart campaign for over a month, Santa Monica Studio worked out a solution. No new characters were possible for this team, since nobody at Santa Monica directly worked on the game's code. However, they would have a team work on a final balance patch to address multiple problems caused by both the DLC characters, namely the relatively unfinished Zeus and Isaac, and work on the game's balance as a whole. This final patch was scheduled for release in fall of 2013. Development for that patch started in December of 2013, by a team of one man. Eventually though, it did release in April of 2014, well after the PS4 had launched, and well after the remaining support for the game had dwindled even further. Just under 2 years after its original reveal, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale had exhaled its final breath. Excluding September 2014, when All-Stars was added as a free PS Plus title, Sony has been almost entirely silent on the game. When he was asked in June of 2013 about the future of the series, Shuei Yoshida said, "Never say never," and that he wished to come back to the All-Stars concept, but not necessarily the All-Stars mechanics. Whenever the game's title is uttered nowadays, online or elsewhere, not far behind it are comments calling the game a failure or even a joke. In recent years, even the world of gaming journalism has shifted its tone. Now, whenever one references All-Stars, a snide Smash Bros. Remark follows. SuperBot's little game that just couldn't escape Nintendo's shadow. There still does exist a small contingent of fans that holds onto the memories of All-Stars though. For example, Token Geek says regarding the game, "Battle Royale was the PlayStation celebration that fans like myself could only have dreamed of. It's such a shame that support died out for a special game that could have become something truly great for all dedicated PlayStation fans." Another fan, Count Mario, had this to say. "Believe it or not, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale actually convinced me, a Nintendo fan, to buy a PlayStation 3. Seeing Sony's character lineup in a fighting game like Smash Bros. Intrigued me as an entry point to learn about and try PlayStation series, like Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, Infamous, Gravity Rush, and Uncharted. Without it, I would have never become a PlayStation fan or made close friends on the game's forums that I still talk with today. I will never forget how much I owe this title as a gamer, and all that I wish is that it could get a second chance for improvement. Call it a Smash ripoff all you want, but I only thought that aspect complements the dynamic library of PlayStation." For years, this dedicated audience was all that kept the game clinging to life. It's only in the summer of 2017 that former SuperBot employees began to speak out, revealing far more than we ever knew about All-Stars. 2 more characters have since been revealed to have been in development, Ninja Gaiden's Ryu Hayabusa and PS1 cult icon Tamba. Ryu had at one point before launch been leaked to be part of the roster but never appeared. According to one former developer, he had 2 planned stances, one with his sword and one without. Tamba, while never leaked, was a highly requested character. This developer, who requested to remain anonymous, stated, "We got on so much for not adding characters that were heavily requested, and yet these same characters were ones we were working on at one point or another or to some extent." Other info has also leaked out, such as how that cancelled Gravity Rush and Journey crossover stage would have worked, and the fact that Dart was decently into development, with at least one employee tasked with playing through the entirety of Legend of Dragoon to ensure accuracy. Like Ryu, Dart was to have 2 distinct fighting stances, but unlike Ryu, one of them would have supposedly been a permanent transformation into his Dragoon form caused by one of his supers. The Gravity Rush stage seemingly was ready to ship, but never did. Initial plans for the game even included goals to get characters such as Chun-Li and Sub-Zero, although these very likely never moved past the concept stage due to licensing. 5 years after launch, and 4 years after its closure, we're only just now learning how much SuperBot struggled with providing exactly what fans had asked for due to outside factors. So now you've heard throughout the years the opinions of the general public, the journalists, and thoughts from myself and other fans of the game. But what do I think now, looking at it from a critical lens? It's okay. It's more than okay, it's good. But that's it. The game has optimization issues, a distinct lack of content, and there are literally 0 people playing it online at this point. But when I put the disc in and played it, both alone and with a friend, it was still a ton of fun. I love the what-if battles between the rivals in the story mode. Seeing Twisted Metal's Needles Kane fight Kratos entirely because Kratos knocked over his ice cream cone is hilarious. And of course, seeing Ratchet and Jack finally get a chance to duke it out in a real game, that's every PS2 owner's dream come true. Not to mention the awesome callback that is the final boss, referencing Polygon Man, one of the original PlayStation 1 advertisement characters. Had the game not immediately been compared to the second or third games in the Super Smash Bros. Series, or had it had more support from a more experienced developer, I think it could have genuinely had a successful lifespan. And I think right now I'd be talking about PlayStation All-Stars 2's DLC. As it stands, SuperBot made a game that many might want to forget, but that you shouldn't forget. Whether the mechanics clicked or not, whether you wanted Crash or not, even though Edgy Dante shouldn't have been in the game, PlayStation All-Stars was made as a celebration, not just of all these wonderful characters and Dante, but of you, the player, the person who made this all happen. Battle Royale had a profound impact on me. It pushed me into a community that I had no interest in, through which I met some of my closest internet friends. It gave me an appreciation for communities as a whole, as running one of the larger fan forums for the game and even working on a short-lived All-Stars plus Smash Bros. Crossover fan game woke this desire in me to create this kind of community for others. It reminded me how much I loved analyzing games and game design. Without PlayStation All-Stars, I don't think this channel would exist. This video concept preceded my channel by a few months. Every moment, every joke, every voiceover, every sleepless night editing, it all built up so that I could make this video and hopefully give this game the voice that it lost. That's the very least I can do for Battle Royale because it gave me my voice. And that was the history of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, looking back at it 5 years later. First and foremost, thank you very much for watching, each and every one of you. If you liked this style of video, please let me know down in the comments below. This was something absolutely very new for me to make, well out of my usual wheelhouse of reviews and PS Plus reviews and all that. But if you guys want to see more of this kind of content, I would absolutely make it, with more time to work on it, of course, because there was a lot of sleepless nights editing, and my eyes have bags under them if you couldn't tell. But it was absolutely worth it because this game deserved it. I just want to say one more thing before I go real quick. Just a quick shout out to some of the people that I met via PlayStation All-Stars, or the community, or the forums, or what have you, that either helped me on this video or helped me in some way, shape, or form throughout life. First and foremost, thank you to Count Mario for just in particular helping work on this video, being my bouncing point for ideas, for titles, giving me some of the assets that I had no longer had, like some of the art. So many things that he helped with on this video, and he helped make it exactly the way that I wanted it to be, exactly the way that I envisioned it being when I first had this idea well over 2 years ago. So thank you for that and a lot more. I want to thank my buddy Paper Mache Richard for working on the Catherine art 2 years ago. That's unrelated to this, but I met him through PlayStation All-Stars, and he thinks I didn't like that art. I loved the art. I don't know why you don't think that, but I'm saying it on camera, so shut up. You will see his art at some point again in the future. I don't know when or where or what, but I'll figure that out down the road. But thank you. I want to thank Radic for helping me find some of the info for this game as well. I can't speak specifically on what info that was, because we both know, but thank you for helping out, because that was a big help, especially on this part of the video. And again, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the like button. If you want to see more, make sure you subscribe, share it, all that fun stuff. And as always, everybody, Stay golden.